Welcome to the Lindsay and Tony podcast, where we talk about spirituality, business, and life experiences.
In this podcast, we're bringing our private conversations to you.
We believe that it's through discussion, action, and reflection that true change occurs.
Hi everybody, welcome to episode 89, How to Include Past Loved Ones in Your Holiday Tradition. In this episode, we give you tips on how to bring the spirit of your past loved ones into the mix of your holiday traditions, and how to really move through the grieving process to where you can experience your past loved ones as if they're actually here and feel their love to where you could have the best holiday season ever. I hope everybody enjoys the show.
Hi guys, welcome back. We're so excited that you're here. Today's episode is all about how to include your past loved ones in your holiday traditions. And I feel like this is something that's so important during the holidays. Don't you agree, Tony?
I totally agree. And I would love to start this with a quote. And this is a quote by Irvin D. Yalom. He wrote a book called Staring at the Sun, Overcoming the Terror of Death. And the quote is from inside of the book is, confronting death need not result in despair that strips us away all purpose in life. On the contrary, it can be an awakening experience to a fuller life. And that's the point of this episode, is to look at death, look at the people that's passed away in your life as something to inspire you to live more fully in the moment. And ways to do that is to include them into the holiday tradition.
I love that quote. That's like a perfect opening. And it's funny because I was just going to read my research that goes with death, actually.
Let's go ahead and do it.
Okay. So when someone that we love passes away, naturally our body is going to go into overwhelming stress. And author and professor Elizabeth Harper talks about when we experience the loss of someone, we're actually experiencing fight or flight mode in our physical body. And we actually start to fear our own survival. And I can relate to all of this when I read this. And she talked about how the brain is overstimulated during this time and it wants to take action. But the thing is we can't bring our past loved ones physically back here as they were in human form. So from that, what happens is our physical body is under traumatic stress and we can feel it. And this is why this episode is so important, because instead of going into stress mode 24/7 after the loss of our loved one, we can actually shift this focus when we move through that, because it is a process, and know that you can still communicate with them while they're not physically here, they're spiritually here. So their energy, their presence is by you.
Absolutely, and that's a good point to bring up, is that this is a process. Obviously, if someone just passed away last week or yesterday, or even 6 months ago, everybody's different on how they grieve.
Years ago,
even 20 years ago, because everybody's different on how they grieve. But to add farther to that, I found in my life, the more that I'm open about discussing people who's passed away and like having humor with them, like, my friend Dave would laugh at this, or my Aunt Diane would really love this movie. The more that I'm open to talk about that and express that as if they're here still, it's been a more healing experience for me.
Same here.
And I feel like everybody says that too once they start to open up.
Yeah.
And this is a way to open up, to include them into the holiday traditions. So some of the ways we can do that.
Well, one of the things that I would say is, first, just acknowledge that they didn't die. Like they physically are not here, but they didn't die. So this is one thing that you could think of. Now, I know from personal experience too, where I didn't want to hear any kind of advice after my loved ones died, because I was going through my own stuff and I didn't want to hear any outside advice. So whatever feels good to you, take it. If it doesn't resonate with you, push it to the side. But one of the things that you could do is to continue the traditions that they shared when they were here with you. So if you have a grandmother that passed, or your mom or your dad passed, or someone close to you, and they enjoyed apple pie, homemade apple pie, maybe they cooked it, don't stop eating the apple pie just because they're physically not here. They actually want you to enjoy that and savor that moment and know that they're with you while you're making the apple pie or while you're eating the apple pie. So you can really look at food like that too.
Yes, and think of all of the different foods that even if they didn't make the food, maybe they specifically loved turkey, or they loved Brussels sprouts or green beans or the mashed potatoes and gravy. Maybe even if you don't eat it a lot, maybe it's something that you don't really like as much, but maybe you might just try it today, or for this holiday, just in memory of them, you might have one Brussels sprout. I think I talked about Brussels sprouts a couple episodes ago. I like Brussels sprouts. Or whatever it is, you can eat a piece of what they like. I know, so talking about Dave, I brought him up already, and he came to me a couple of days ago, which is why he's on my consciousness now. He used to do, this has nothing to do with the holidays, but it has to do with food. He would take Doritos and he'd take Tabasco sauce and he'd dump a little bit of Tabasco sauce on the Dorito and eat it. So every time I do that, I think of Dave, and it makes me feel more connected with Dave. And I think that this is a therapeutic process here.
It is, and because he's there with you while you're experiencing eating the Doritos with the Tabasco sauce.
And that's the whole key there too, is when you're doing this, you're actually calling them into existence, because you're putting your awareness and your attention on them. So it's actually helping you connect with them even more, as if you're having a conversation with them.
Exactly. And that's a good point too, because sometimes what's going to happen is memories are going to come up. This happens to a lot of my clients, where they'll be thinking about their past loved one around the holidays, and it will make them sad because they wish that they were there, and they get a memory that came up from the past. And it is a bittersweet feeling. But a lot of those times, it's not just your memory that's coming up, it's actually your past loved one communicating with you and reminding you of that memory. So you remember the happy times that you had, or that moment that was really significant to them. So I think that's important to kind of shift the focus and know that sometimes these aren't even our own thoughts. It's actually them dropping them into our mind to remember that, hey, I'm still here. Like, I am around you. I'm watching over you. I want you to be happy. And I think that moves to our next point. When we are celebrating and we're around family and friends, there are moments where you may forget to focus in on sadness, because in that very moment, if it's 1 minute or 1 hour, you are in the moment and you're so focused on that, and then all of a sudden you have this wave of sadness thinking, oh my gosh, I shouldn't be happy because they're not here. No, they don't want you to do that. They actually love to see you smile. They love to see you enjoy. So pay attention to that and know that you shouldn't feel guilty for being happy and celebrating the holidays, because they're okay.
And another thing, just to add to that, you shouldn't feel guilty for feeling sad. So maybe you really are feeling sad about the past loved one. Savor that as well, because there's value in that. The fact that you feel sad and you're feeling like that means that you had an opportunity to love someone that deeply while they were here. And we're sitting here telling you, you still have the opportunity to continue that love. So that sadness is just a sign that you experienced a beautiful thing, a beautiful gift that this world offers us.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think that's important to remember all the time.
So sometimes, I know there's been different times to where I did feel like that, whether it was around the holidays or not, to where I felt sad about a past loved one. And then I would go outside and kind of just be by myself, be alone, rather than going to talk to somebody about it to try to solve the issue or whatever, thinking that it was an issue. I would go outside and just savor that moment and feel everything. And I think that's just a powerful experience.
It is.
To do that. And it's easy to, on the flip side, to think, oh, I'm feeling sad right now. I shouldn't be feeling like this. I should be happy because it's the holidays. Once again, try to look at it from a different perspective, and I think that you'll realize that you can enjoy every part of it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it is a process, and every holiday is going to be different, and every day is going to be different. One moment you could be completely happy, and the next second you're like, where did this wave come from? And that's exactly what grief is about. There's so many ups and downs during the process. The other thing that you could do, you can actually go to the store and set the intention that you want your loved one to help pick out a card from them to you. So walking into a store and just allowing yourself to open up to their love and let them guide you to the card that they want to bring you, the messages inside the card that you're meant to see during that holiday season. It doesn't mean you have to buy it. You could if you want, but it could literally be a moment where you're walking down the aisle of, CVS, and you feel like you're gravitating to a certain area. And you'll know, you could pick up a few cards and you'll have a feeling. You'll have goosebumps all over you. You might have a wave of emotion that comes over you. That's them communicating through you to let you know that, hey, I have a message for you.
And that's bringing them closer to their past loved ones by acting in that way and having the focus in that way. And then it's actually, this episode is called How to Include Your Past Loved Ones in the Holidays. In all reality, they're already included. They're already there all the time. So everything, well, even in the holidays, just all the time, and on the holidays, they're already here. They're already included, and they want you to know this. And by doing different things, like Lindsay suggested, going to buy a card with the intention of having them help you pick it out, and then also cooking foods that they love and just anything that they enjoy while they're here, you're experiencing that now. It's helping to bridge that connection and really helping you to see what's already here. Your past loved ones are already with you all the time.
They are.
And I think that's important to recognize.
Definitely. And I think the big thing too with that is don't stop telling stories about them. If there's a story that comes up and you want to share it, share it. It could make people cry, but the reason that you're feeling that feeling of wanting to share the story is bigger than you probably even know. So there could be a healing that's taking place with the person that you're sharing the story with, that they needed to hear that.
Absolutely. And sometimes we have to get out of our own way when this happens, because I know, that everybody knows that everybody deals with death differently. So we might be excited talking about our past loved ones because Lindsay and I, we grieve differently than other people, to where people in the same room, they may not feel that same way.
They could feel completely uncomfortable.
So if you bring it up, they could get offended, and it could look like a bad thing when in all reality, my suggestion for that would be, like me personally, I'm not an expert at that specifically, but just do you. Forget about the negative impacts that could happen. Be aware of who's in the room, but at the same time, like we always talk about on this podcast, follow your instinct. Like Lindsay said, if it's coming up and you're having the urge to talk about a past loved one or to bring up their memory, it's for a reason. And even if somebody gets upset around, that's not always a bad thing. It's the same thing as having sad emotions. Sometimes that looks like it's a bad thing, but it's really not. The sadness is here to guide you. Maybe that person getting upset in the room, maybe they were meant to get upset that day to help their grieving process.
Yeah, usually the people that are having a difficult time where they can't hear about the past loved one, it's because they're holding it in internally, and that's a big thing. So, and there's some times where things are really raw, and you'll kind of just have that feeling where if they need some extra attention from you and you want to check up on them and see if they're okay, but you can't filter your words. And if something's coming up, share it, because you're being guided. So, and I think that's a big thing with everyone that I've been working with, whether they've gotten readings or they're students of mediumship. One of the things that I've recognized with the spirit realm is they know so much more than the human realm. They know so much, they have a different intelligence than us, and they're using us in different situations. So just trust the process and don't allow yourself to filter it to make other people feel comfortable, because it's not benefiting anyone. It's not benefiting you from expressing yourself. It's not benefiting the loved one that might have a message to get out to the world. And it's something bigger than we can see.
Yeah, it's just like you taking it off a serious note. It's just like you having the urge to start a business, but half the people around you or half the people in the world are going to judge you because of the business.
Right.
But your instinct's telling you to do it. Do it anyways, because the people that are going to judge you or that are going to be upset, they're going to be upset anyways over something. So the whole point is you must follow your own instinct. You must follow your own, like I said, follow your own beat. Because if you try to think about what everybody else needs around you, you'll end up losing yourself. And that's not what we need here. We need everybody on this planet to just be themselves. And when we're ourselves, I think that what needs to happen happens.
Exactly.
And it all starts with just speaking. It's something as simple as speaking, having a conversation, cooking food,
right,
listening to music, whatever it is to help bring that past loved one's spirit into the mix. You can do it.
We hope this helped you, and share with us if there's a memory that you have with your past loved one or someone you're thinking of, and you're thinking of a moment that you guys shared on a holiday. Share it with us. We would love to learn about your loved ones and honor them during this holiday season. We hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we did. If you liked it, leave a 5-star review on iTunes, and remember, subscribe to our YouTube channel too.
If you can think of anyone else that would love this episode, share it with them right now on social media or email. And remember, getting results is a process of learning, applying, and reflecting. Stay consistent and continue to grow every day.